right, we're getting ready to go.
Okay, cool.
Welcome, everybody. We are live tonight on the Tony Gomez Show, and we're going to be doing the top 10 best drummers list with my man Chris Moore right there.
Hi, man.
Swim the current. We got him in the house. And joining us, we'll be having Miggy Sanchez laying the drums down for Tommy Vext right now, who's taking a little break from tour, but is going to go back out, and also doing percussion for El Nino. And you know, Miggy, man, he's got a fucking throat from hell. He's one of the best singers I know. He also sings for Relent and also does background for El Nino. So, son of a gun, I can't wait to have him on. And also, third, unfortunately, due to technical difficulties with the internet, Dave's not going to be able to join us from Devastation. David Lozano is not going to be with us tonight, I'm sorry to say, but I do have his list to share with the rest of us tonight. So if anybody out there in the audience, like Vanessa, thanks for chiming in already. If you got a top 10 best drummers list, share it with us there in the chat room, and let's bounce off some ideas. But first, I want to welcome Chris back to the show. Thanks a lot. How you been doing, Chris?
I'm good, man. It's good to see you. I'm seeing on the on our podcast down below here, I think we're actually a month behind because it says 10/18/24, and I'm freaking out, man.
You're right, dude. We're in the twilight zone here.
Hey, Vanessa, how you doing? All right.
Good to have her back in the house. Thanks for tuning in tonight, Vanessa. You know, Stay is banging out there.
Thanks, man.
Hell yeah, man. That was a great interview that had you guys on the show not too long ago. I love that jam. That chorus, man, just sticks in your head. Marcus sounds great. And
he does,
I love
right?
the playthrough video that you dropped of you.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, you know, I'll tell you something. It was super fun doing that, and that song. What was funny is we actually filmed. This is a little behind the scenes, peek behind the curtain, but we actually filmed 2 videos that weekend. So we filmed "Stay," and then we actually filmed another song called "Right Your Wrong." And that video will be coming out soon. But it was really funny because we did both of those videos down in Long Island, and both very different, totally different things. And I actually filmed playthroughs for each of those as well. Okay, so when I did the Stay one, it was totally fun. But I practiced because I'm a total practice animal, man. Like I over practice for anything.
Hell yeah.
And so the guys like Joe Guerreri, our lead guitarist in Swim the Current, was like, man, Chris, I got to tell you, because they were filming my stuff on both of the songs. And he goes, man, I got to tell you, Chris, he's like, you more than anybody I've ever seen practice. Like you have your parts nailed. Like you're playing it exact how you played it on the record. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm terrified of being in the video and people are going, that doesn't look right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I better have my stuff, better have my, stuff together. So anyway, yeah, and it was hilarious because when we filmed the Stay video, we did the playing stuff. We did all that outside, and it was that weekend down in Long Island, man. We did part of it at a nature preserve, and it was 97 degrees with 97% humidity. And I'm hauling my drums because the director, Tom Flynn, who's like the greatest guy ever, he's like, Chris, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but we gotta hoof it down this trail because I got this like private spot that I want to film you. I'm all right. So we're all like, the other guys are super cool and they're helping me haul my gear. And I was like, I redlined, man. I got so overheated and I left my water in the car. So I was just like sitting there drenched in sweat. The air's not moving. And I'm like trying to set up my kit, passing out. And then he's like, okay, well, let's, I'm going to have you play through it, 3-4 times. And I'm just like, so when you see me in the video, I'm sweating. And there was a point where I was trying to like, just for the fun of it, I was going to twirl my stick and the stick flew out of my hand. I caught it in midair. It's not in the video, but I was so sweaty. My hands were so sweaty. Anyway, but it was cool, man. We had a great time. And then the next day when we filmed Right You're Wrong, that was actually in a studio that was thankfully air conditioned. But yeah, man, it was Good times. So I'll do another. You'll have another playthrough video for Right Your Wrong as well. Yeah,
killer. I can't wait till that drops. But especially to hear the tune Right You're Wrong. When's that going to be coming out? Can you let us know?
I'm not sure. It depends on the label when they're ready to release it, but it should be pretty soon. I would imagine sometime, maybe maybe if not by the end of the year, it would be like early January, somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere in that window. All right. Yeah. I can't wait to hear some more of that. That's going to be great, dude. Man, you're really just putting out some really great quality.
Thank you.
That rock that George has really come together, and everybody just brings their own magic to the table, and just so really impressed on how George was able just to grasp this beast, and off of Marcus saying, hey, I want to try this, I want to do this, and it's just like an anomaly how great it all came together.
Thanks. So, it's a team effort, man. It really is. Yeah.
I love what you guys are doing. I hope we can see you down here in Texas soon.
George, to his credit, George is like one of these guys that he sort of corrals everybody and goes, okay, this is what we're doing. We're going for it. We're going to do this. And he'll like send me the songs. And it's like, it keeps leveling up. Every time we do something, it just is like, I'm listening to the scratch tracks and I'm like, man, this is so good, you guys. Like, wow, it's cool.
Oh, it's so cool, man. Hell yeah. It's a pleasure to be able to know you guys and tap into some of that right there. That's my grandson. Hey, Grayson.
Hey, Grayson. How you doing, man?
That's my friend Chris. He's an awesome drummer. He's been picking up the drumsticks, and I got him a drum pad back there so he can start making some noise.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, man. I want to keep it in the family, and music did a good job of keeping me out of trouble. And same thing goes for a lot of my fellow musician friends that otherwise they could be getting into some kind of mischief and shit when they were in their teens, but they got into playing in bands, punk rock bands, metal bands back then in the late 80s, and thankfully because of all that, it really kept us out of getting into serious trouble because we had more fun jamming in the garage, making up our own music and putting shows together than getting out in the streets and looking for trouble or just, idle hands will end up in some sort of juvenile detention if I'm not careful.
Yeah. Oh, I know. No, I get it. Yeah. That's great though, man.
I'm hoping that he picks up where from Grandpa's, blueprint and whether it's singing or my principal instrument is drums. I started playing drums when I was 13, and I got my first drum set by way of an accident. My home caught fire the first day of spring break. It was an electrical fire, and all my posters, my albums, I claimed them on the insurance. And with that money, I bought my first drum set. And I started jamming with my friends and, cover songs from Metal Church, Metallica, Black Sabbath. And it was great until I started hanging around with guys that were better musicians. Yep. And they were like, hey, we need a better drummer, but we need a singer too. I was like, hey, all right, maybe that's going to be my niche. So since 1990, I've been singing, but me and the drummers in my band have always been real tight. Because I'm that guy that where it's like, hey, we bounce ideas off each other, and I also want to let them do their own thing. But if I got something, I definitely got to put my 2 cents in just for my own peace of mind.
Yeah, no, I totally, man. That's good for you.
Yeah, man.
Right on.
That's why I got so much love for what you do and what Miggy does and Dave, man. Because watching you guys do your thing, man, is inspiring, and I know how great it feels to fucking do it. So,
yeah.
That's why you say you just over practice, you say, because you love it so much. You just got that love for the kit, the drums, everything about it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And it's cool because you get to a point where, as a, professional musician and all that, and doing it for years, there is that point where like being on tour, it's work, bus, hotel, venue, sound check, and show and hotel and bus hotel, so anyway, it becomes work. And so
For
that
sure.
time of playing on stage is just such a great time. And then but you get to that point where I think you can be sort of on autopilot, and so to be able to get back and practice, and you get to that point where if I hear something in my head, I can usually pretty much play it, and I might have to practice it, 1,000 times to get it. But, that's what I'm always kind of doing, is I hear a fill or something in my head, and I'm really trying to, chase that down and get to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Chris, did you ever take any professional training? You ever take lessons?
Yeah. And I actually have a pretty funny story about it. So, I'm self-taught, and when I was a teenager, there was a band. So I grew up in Arcadia, Pasadena, LA, and the bass player in my band was Michael Anthony's little brother from Van Halen. So so
Hell
I
yeah.
actually had heard, and I was a huge, of course, Van Halen fan to begin with. So and I think I told you maybe on the last time we were talking, I actually we went to the 80 Invasion rehearsals for,
Yes.
like Women and Children First. And it was like
Fuck yeah.
Dennis and, Michael Anthony's little brother and I were sitting on the floor, and it was like the band, the crew, and me and Dennis. And that was it. That was all, everybody in the building. And we sat there and watched them, like a private Van Halen concert. It was insane.
Yes.
But of course that, like,
Awesome.
Alex was, my hero and all that. And
Sure.
but I had talked with him about because I tried to take lessons from a guy who had claimed to be his teacher, and it was like, oh, when I taught Alex, and all that kind of stuff, when I was talking to the guy, and he was just, what, it never really went anywhere. I quit the lessons because I was like, I'm making more progress on my own. And when I asked Alex about it, he's like, who? What are you talking about? I'm like, no, this guy swears he like taught you everything, and he's like, yeah, I don't know that guy,
Oh.
but
Yeah.
but the other thing that was, so I did take lessons kind of from at the time that Van Halen was kind of an LA local band. There was another LA local band called Smile, and they were like gonna be it was like Van Halen and Smile were the two big LA bands, and they were both going to make it. And in fact, like Tommy Gervin, the guitar player, is the guy who went on to play with Eddie Money, and he played on, like, with Kenny Loggins, all the Top Gun stuff and all that. Yeah. So like serious cats. And the drummer was a guy named Jim Volpe. And Jimmy Volpe is, to this day, one of the best drummers I've ever seen. And not just the way he played, but the way he hit the drums. He just made him sound good. It's just unbelievable drummer. and like the greatest guy ever, and and so Jimmy, I was like, and my band used to open for Smile, and I'd go up to him and I'd like be glued to his drum solo. Nobody could talk to me because I had to watch Jimmy's solo. But anyway, so I went up to him one time and I'm like, hey, do you give drum lessons? And so Jimmy taught me, a bunch of stuff. And he was just the greatest, and such an amazing player. And but it was kind of like at that point, it started to get into like double bass drumming, and there were a lot of hey James, Smile was also the band pre-Queen, different band, obviously LA instead of England, but yeah, that was a different Smile. And these guys were so good. They were kind of like the Stones, and Jimmy was like a John Bonham single bass drum guy, and I wanted to get into like double bass drumming and all that. So I had a different kind of thing going on, and man, but still to this day, Jimmy will play a gig every now and then in Arcadia at a place called First Cabin. It's a little bar, and they have a band called Pat O'Brien and the Priests of Love. And Jimmy gets up there and he still just crushes it. He's such a great drummer, man. Yeah.
Dude, badass. He's still killing it.
Yeah. So when I go to California, I always got to see Jimmy play, man. Yeah.
That's the best. Hell yeah. I'm Jack. Jimmy's still at it, still fucking bashing.
Yep. Oh, and so I got it. So this is actually pretty funny. So I did, so I actually did some stuff with a guitar player named Troy Stetina, who wrote the book Speed Mechanics for Guitar. An amazing guitar player, just unbelievable. And anyway, he had approached me years ago. This is like 10 years ago, and he said, "Hey, Hal Leonard Publishing asked me, do you know a drummer that would do speed mechanics for drums?" And he's like, would you want to write a drum book? And I'm like, yeah, okay. I've never done anything like that, but okay, I'll do it. And so I really had to figure it out. It was a lot of work. I mean, it was 6 months of my life writing that book. And then when I finished it, they said, hey, we want you to film a video for it, and so I spent another 6 months filming the video in my studio every day. And it was like, again, it was a lot of hard work, and I really did work at it. I'm really proud of the book. Right. Well, anyway, and so if you want to look up something crazy, what I did was in the throughout the book, I had exercises and concepts and all that stuff. And then at the end of the book, I actually wrote a drum track, and Troy put guitar and all the music to it. And it was called it was called Kaleidoscope, and it encompasses all of the concepts throughout the book. So it all brings it all together in one song, right, or one track. Yeah. So if you look up Chris Moore Kaleidoscope, you'll see this video of me playing, right? So anyway, but what was really funny was that book when the book got released, I went to the NAMM show that year in LA, and I went to the Hal Leonard booth, and I was kind of standing there, and Steve Smith from Journey walked up, and I was like, and his book was right next to mine, or his DVD or whatever was right next to mine on the shelf. Badass. And I'm like standing there, and I go, hey, Steve, I'm Chris Moore. And he's kind of looking at me, and I go, I'm a fan of your work. And he looks me up and down and literally walks away. That was it. What? Didn't say a word to me. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, like, don't meet your heroes, I guess.
Yeah, I know, right? Goodness, shit.
Whatever. Maybe he's having a bad day, but yeah, pretty funny. That's very cool. That's man. My Steve Smith story. That is true story, man. That happened.
Steve Smith's another banger too. He almost made one of the list. Yeah. He's a banger, man. One of the best rock drummers right there during that time. And just the way he thought differently through some of these parts, man, really genius. Really, his good hooks.
His phrasing and the Journey stuff. I mean, there were so many little, just chops and nuances, and in like Sender My Love, the way that he played that song, he could have played it, a million different ways, and he kept it really just. It supports that song so well, and again is a lesson in restraint on the drums, and just really, really crushed that kind of that vibe. I mean, that whole album, he just such a great drummer, man.
Oh, such a good drummer. Yeah, and his beat on I think it's Separate Ways, man. That's another good one right there.
That Phil, come on.
Yeah, you know it. Yes, hell yeah. All right, I tell you what, let's get to business, and. I'm surprised Miggy hasn't jumped in. We're gonna get started, but I gotta give Miggy a courtesy call real quick.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Real
do
quick,
your thing.
I'm just gonna jump over here to this other side real quick. I'm gonna give him a message, telling him, "Hey, where you at? Jump in here. We need you." Let's see. Oh, he said, broke down on the way home 10 minutes ago. Oh no, he broke down. Okay. I'm gonna tell him tune in.
So I'm just here doing the podcast by myself. Hey, I'm Chris. How you doing, everybody? How's it going?
I'm gonna say tune in.
Hey,
time.
How's it going?
Hold it down for me, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Hey, I'm Chris. How's it going? Just kidding.
Yeah, I got you. Here I come. That's all right.
Cool. Cynthia, Steve Smith, very classy drummer. That's very, very true. Yep.
Oof. Big time.
Great drummer.
Well, I tell you what, Chris, let's get started. Mickey did break down, so I know what's going on. So God willing, he'll jump in before the show's over. I still got I got my own list. I got Dave's list, but let's start having some fun.
Hey, and by the way, speaking of breakdown, talk about an innovative drum part Breakdown by Tom Petty, Stanley, such a great drummer. Stan, just that beat in that song is just so grooving, man. Such a great song.
I love some fucking Tom Petty. Did you say his
come on.
name Stan Lee?
Stan was the drummer for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know his name, man. Man. Underrated drummer right there, man. Shit. Everything was so great.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you want to do your list first, man?
Sure. You got it. Let me get started with mine.
Hit me.
All right. So let me make sure I'm looking at mine, not Dave's. Okay, good. I got it. All right. So here's my list for my top 10 drummers. Now it's my list, not your list. You got your list. I got mine. So if you got yours out there, Cynthia, James, or Vanessa, share it with us. I want to hear some more ideas, all right? And if I sound funny, it's because I've been singing all weekend, and there's no other better way. I'd rather go out on the weekend but singing my ass off. So
that's right.
Let's make the best of it. And I got to bring in, at number 10, Tool's Danny Carey.
Yeah.
You know, Tool was the way I came across Tool was a friend at school in the, I played in the wind ensemble. I played the percussion in the wind ensemble at Del Mar College. And I was going to school to learn drums. I studied under Norman Weinberg, who was a badass drummer. He used to write for Drummer World, I think.
Okay.
And anyway, I was going to school for them. And one of the other drummers in there said, man, you ever heard of Tool? And I was like, nah, here, check out this CD. So he let me borrow Opiate. And I was like, whoa, man, it was raw. And then where they took off after that to Undertow, you know, it was a cleaner version. But, man, it was just like they were almost, the way I see them now, it's like they're the modern day Pink Floyd. And it took a little while to get them to that point. And I think, you know, Undertow was a step up there. But I think the closest that they really were hitting that Pink Floyd element was when they hit Einema. They had the concept. Everything was just so far out. And Eulogy off of Einema is like one of my favorite fucking drum songs that Danny does.
Yep. Nice.
Moving on. Number 9. One of my favorite bands growing up, Iron Maiden's Nico McBrain.
Yeah.
Oh, Nico's got so much class. When you see him, you know, doing these little shows and demonstrations, he's like, seems like the funnest guy to be around. He just knows drums inside out and just loves to interact with all the fans. What a great guy. What a great ambassador out there.
Absolutely.
And just always has these fucking unbelievable drum sets.
I know.
Oh my God, for each tour.
Unreal.
Unfucking real.
Yeah.
Number 8 coming in from, I just saw the singer for this band right here. I saw Sting opening up for Billy Joel about 3 weeks ago over here in San Antonio, the Alamo Dome.
Yeah.
Great show, man. Great show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I got to give it to Stuart Copeland for the Police. Oh,
I agree.
His finesse, his dynamics, the reggae stuff that they were doing in the early years, how they really were, you know, seemed like they hit their peak in synchronicity.
Yes.
Wow. Just he did some great things. I love Every Breath You Take, everything he does in that. And just, you know, the song Synchronicity to every little, hey, Papa, I love you. All right. To every little breath, she does it, every little breath you take.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, just a big, huge fan of Stuart Copeland and where he took off after that, getting into doing soundtracks for movies was just a credit to the great mind that this guy has. Yeah. Incredible.
Yep. I read his book.
You read it?
One of my bands opened for Foreigner a couple of nights, and he came to one of the shows in LA, and he's just a great dude, man. Really good guy.
Hell yeah. Love it. Okay, coming in number 7, the Madman, Keith Moon from The Who.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Party Animal, but Rage, you're on the drums. What an inspiration. You know, when I started on drums, of course, I was playing some covers, but the first group of guys I had around, we started a punk rock band, and it was called Aggravated Assault. And playing punk rock was a thing around here. We were just trying to learn what we were trying to build a band. Just trying
Nice.
to, and as we got better, it turned into a metal thing because we
Okay.
started getting into more, technical guitar parts and
Yeah.
double bass and things like that. But Keith Moon, I mean, what he did, like, on some of his tracks,
Oh, absolutely.
just the rolls, just amazing stuff. And
Lead drums.
yes, he's the kind of guy that eats up drums, man.
Yeah.
He destroys them, and I like that. I've always kind of liked that finale to a concert, man, where the drummer just destroys it. It's over. Amazing talent. Gone too soon. Gone before his time.
Agreed.
So number 6 on my list, I got from Dream Theater, Mike Portnoy.
Yep.
Gotta give Mike some love, man.
Of course.
He's another one of those great metal. And you've met Mike, right?
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He's an interesting cat.
I figured your paths would cross sooner or later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool, man. Well, I'm not too much into the progressive. I haven't followed Dream Theater throughout the years, but I have followed Mike because Mike does a lot of things. He's got to stay busy. So whether the time he spent with the Avenged Sevenfold, I love that the Nightmare album he laid down with those guys, and there's the 3-piece that he's a part of with on bass. Who is it? Billy Sheehan, Mike Portnoy, and Richie Kotzen, I think it is.
Yeah, those Winery Dogs.
Dog. Those guys. They're so badass.
I saw him at the Coach House in San Juan Capistrano, California, and they ripped. Yeah, they're great.
They're great. I got to catch them.
Yeah.
So we're moving into the top 5 now. So for my top 5, guys, my background is definitely into punk rock, hardcore, and metal. So I'm going to have some of that love in there, but I'm very well-rounded too because, I grew up around the radio. I always had that AM, FM dial, before FM came around, it was always AM. And whether it was soul music or classics from like the 50s, I always kind of I love music. And Buddy Holly was probably my first great love because he was one of the earliest guys I heard, but he just had that rock, and just, Peggy Sue, so many bangers.
Oh, yeah.
And he just kind of opened the door. He was like the gateway drug for me into rock and roll. And then once I hit Kiss, forget it.
Over. I know. Yeah. Game over.
Right. It is.
Yeah.
So going into that top 5, I got to start off with Slayer's Dave Lombardo.
Okay.
And, I got to give credit to Dave because, he was very innovative by taking that Slayer sound, making it sound evil with the guitar and the drums and with the double bass in songs like Crypts of Eternity off of Hell Awaits, but especially with what he did on his fill and Angel of Death. When he did that one fill.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, incredible. What are those 30-second notes?
Yeah, it's 30-second notes is exactly what it is. And, unreal. Like I saw Slayer and Lamb of God opening at Long Beach Arena, early 2000s or mid 2000s, somewhere in there. But anyway,
I think it's maybe the Unholy Alliance tour.
I think so. It was something like that. And Lombardo was unstoppable. It was just he started off like full blast, just going at it, right? And then he just kept increasing the intensity throughout the show, and I've never seen anything like that. I could not believe what he did and the level that he just kept leveling up, like song after song. I kept going. He played faster and cleaner and meaner the longer the show went on. It was just, the guy was just a beast. Yeah.
Beast, exactly. And those early pictures
he got warmed up. Yeah, comas. Yeah, he got warmed up. That's exactly right. That's what happened.
He got warmed up. That's it. So hell yeah, got to give some love to Slayer. Number 4, the one and only, and I, of course it's hard picking these lists, but number 4, the Professor Neil Peart of Rush. YYZ, Tom Sawyer. Who doesn't want to play Tom Sawyer, when they're in the car and it comes on?
I know. I
it
agree.
just, and I love, man, every song he does, it's just so great. New World Man, I love that jam.
Yeah.
I love Subdivisions. I love
Yep.
the early stuff, Closer to the Heart, the newer stuff that was coming out, like on when they did
Yeah.
Counterparts, when they were kind of
Absolutely.
keeping up with that 90s kind of hip. I was
Yep.
like, wow, these guys, there's nothing they can't fucking do.
Absolutely.
Roll with the Bones, it's just
Yeah.
incredible band. One of the, no wonder so many of us drummers love to hear Rush,
Yeah.
because he's just the architect of that rock sound. And just I hear different stories about Neil. He kind of keeps to himself, that he really wasn't too much for interacting with the fans so much, but he wasn't never a jerk. I never heard anything like that.
No,
Did you
I
ever have
think
a chance to meet him?
I never met him. I always wanted to, but I think he I think he just was a very focused and kind of
Yeah,
shy person. Like, he didn't want people
right.
coming up going, "You're the greatest drummer ever," and that kind of thing, because he just couldn't handle that. And you get around musicians that are like that. They're like, "Yeah, I just don't like I work hard at what I do, and I don't, it's just a different vibe."
Yes, I definitely know what you mean. It's not that, uh, some of those great artists, they don't do it because they're trying to get some sort of fame.
Yeah.
It's out of love for the music and building the craft and the people they work with, and all that's all fine and dandy. But it's something that, it's not anything needed whatsoever.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I get it. And so, hell yeah, Neil Peart,
Okay.
rest in peace.
Yeah.
Gone way too soon. Oh my God. Was it like brain cancer that got him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, cancer. Fucking cancer sucks.
Yeah, man.
Cancer, man. We gotta, and I feel like somebody has a cure for that shit. But you
Yeah.
gotta have some fucking crazy ass money to be able to get into that club.
Yeah.
So on a different tip, that's for a whole different podcast. Not even
Yeah.
my kind of podcast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so let's go to number 3. So we're cutting into my top 3, and I gotta hit Buddy Rich. Man,
Yeah.
Buddy Rich on drums. Holy shit. He's one of the first guys I saw back when I was a kid that I remember just seeing him and just going, wow, look at this guy. The chops, the way the sticks are just fucking flying. It's like he's moving so fast. You don't even see the sticks. It's wow, amazing. The chops, the finesse that he had, the way he could lead the bands that he was playing with, the big bands.
Yeah.
Such an inspiration, because you got to see how a drummer could be the leader of the band.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, it's a guitar player. Hey, we're going to do this. I'm going to write this and that. But it just seems like he was a real conductor. He kept it in the pocket. And what a personality to go along with such a talent.
Man, so here's a crazy Buddy Rich story, which actually this brings it all together. So Jim Volpe, who I was telling you about earlier, that played in Smile, was in. So they have the Guitar Center drum off, right? Well, before they had the Guitar Center drum off, they used to just have what they called the drum off in LA, and they held it at Griffith Park. And I think it was sponsored by one of the local radio stations like KLOS or KMET or whatever. So Jim Volpe was going to be in the drum off, and I went to go see him. And I went with the guy, the singer in my band at the time in Rampage. And we're backstage because it was just kind of this big open area, and they didn't really have it fenced off or anything. So you could kind of just be wherever. And so the singer and I are behind, and they had all these drum kits lined up. And I saw Buddy Rich's kit, and I'm like, okay, that's where I'm gonna get in front of Buddy Rich's kit, when this thing gets going. And so anyway, but they had a whole lineup of all these kits. I went and stood in front of Buddy Rich's kit, like, right there in the front.
Yeah.
And they all came out, all these drummers, and it was like Martin Chambers from the Pretenders and Vinny Appice from Sabbath at the time. They had just done that thing. They did a live video at the Nassau Coliseum right when Ronnie James Dio came on as singer. They filmed this live thing, and you can look it up. It was awesome, right? And they had just filmed it. I just watched it. I'm like, oh my God, it was like Don Kirshner's rock concert or whatever, and that was on. So anyway, I got to see Buddy Rich do his thing, like, 10 feet away. Unbelievable. But anyway, the other big highlight, though, was that I was backstage hanging out before this thing. And sure enough, I turn around and there's Ronnie James Dio. And I was like, and I walked over to him and I'm like, hey, man, I just saw you in the live, thing with Sabbath at the Nassau Coliseum. He goes, oh, yeah, we just filmed that. And we were talking about it. And like, such a great guy, such a down to earth, humble, great dude. And just like super cool. And so like that whole day was like that the whole time. It was like, got to see Vinny play, got to meet Ronnie James Dio, got to see Buddy Rich right in front of him, all these great drummers. But the other part to that was that so he was talking to the singer of my band and me. We were, with Ronnie James Dio. And he said, so you guys have a band? What do you do? And I'm like, yeah, we're playing. He goes, do you have any gigs or what do you guys do? And I go, yeah, we're playing at the Whiskey like Wednesday night, in front of 10 people kind of thing. And he's like, hey man, everybody's got to get their start and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Wednesday night came around and Dio showed up to see us play at the Whiskey.
Oh shit.
He was such a cool dude, man. He was,
so
I was
cool.
Like, you got to be kidding me. Like somebody came and got me backstage and like, you got to see this. There's somebody here to see you. And I'm like, what? And he's like, hey Chris, how's it going? Came to see you play. I told you I was going to come down if I could. I was like,
yeah, that is one of the best. I love that story, Chris.
What a great dude, man.
What a great dude. Yes.
Unreal.
All right. Jumping in the top two. So my number two, the one and only, rest in peace, John Bonham. Hell yeah, from Led Zeppelin. Yeah. He's got to be on the list. Yeah. Moby Dick, When the Levee Breaks, you name it. He's just got that, distinctable sound, that kick drum, the way he just is able to work that hi-hat and that snare is, it's a trademark sound that a lot of us wanted to be able to simulate that, but it never really comes across the way that John was able to do it. And if anybody gets close, I got to say, it's his son, Jason.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, Jason, when they did that How the West Was Won deal, and then but beyond that, when they did their reunion, that Celebration Day reunion, and Jason got up and he really put the work in. I mean, he really did. Like, he stole the show, in my opinion, that deal. And I actually got to meet Jason a couple years ago when Sammy and the Circle were playing down here in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And
cool.
I got to go to the show. And so I'm friends with Vic Johnson, who's the guitar player with Sammy Hagar for the Circle. And so with Michael Anthony on bass. So I got to see Mike. I hadn't seen Mike since I was a kid, and we got to hang out, and it was like all the inside jokes and all that. But they actually had like their own little condo behind the stage. It was so cool. And they had like a full-on kitchen and all this other stuff. So we're hanging out talking. And I told Jason, I got to say to him, man, I got to tell you, like, I have so much respect for how hard you clearly worked for the reunion, for Celebration Day. And he like stopped what he's doing and we talked about it for a few minutes. And he's like, yeah, we would rehearse like every day, but we would only do a few songs at a time because, it was like, we wanted to be really focused. And Robert, when, we didn't want to hurt his voice, and, and everybody was like really dialed in. And he's like, but I would actually go back and practice on my own to get, the extra chops in. And I was like, you totally deserve it, man. You really crushed that gig. Yeah. Crazy.
He is so good. I'm so glad that he's teamed up with Sammy, because Sammy's one of those guys that likes to be on the road. Yeah. So that gives us the opportunity to see Jason kicking ass. I saw Sammy with Jason and Mike and Satriani about maybe 6 weeks, 2 months ago. Oh, love it.
He crushed that gig, man, on the big kit. Yeah. Yeah, Jason killed that. And now it's
absolutely.
now it's Kenny Aronoff's playing the gig. I think they just announced it that Jason isn't going to come back because he had to go take care of his mom and all that, and so he's kind of doing other things. And but yeah, he had that Alex Van Halen snare tone down.
Oh
right?
yeah,
It was great.
Great. Speaking of Kenny Aronoff, I had a chance to meet him when I was going to Del Mar for studying percussion. He came down, did a recital.
Nice.
And super cool guy.
Yeah.
Met all of us guys in the percussion ensemble, and showed us all those licks that he was doing in the probably the first 3 or 4 John Cougar Mellencamp albums.
Nice.
And just, man, tremendous chops. So much, the dynamics. He really stressed on the dynamics, the feel, the way you hold your drumsticks.
Yep.
And being prepared. And so things like that. That's why they stuck with me up until these days. They're, when you're around somebody like that you already admire, and you're able to get in his presence, and they share a little bit of that wisdom, it's like gold. So Kenny Aronoff,
and Como
another
was
bad
asking,
mother.
is Chicken Foot still going? I don't think Chicken Foot is still happening. I know Chad Smith was playing with them, and they had that thing with Satch, but I don't think they're doing that. They're still, obviously, those guys all still hang together, and they probably get together in Cabo and throw down. But
yes, I can imagine a Cabo party, man. I've been telling my wife I want to go, and this year he's having 2. He's having a Vegas, and he's having a Cabo. And man, I need to save some money before I can make that happen. But I want to do it. It's on the bucket list.
Nice.
I gotta meet Sammy. I told her next time, if I gotta pay whatever it takes to do the VIP, I gotta meet Sam. I just think it's kind of, my paths gotta cross. I need some of that Sammy good vibe. Yeah. And cool, I buy all his drinks, the tequila.
Nice.
Anything Sammy.
He's a character, man. Yeah. Love it. Yeah.
So coming in finally, number 1.
Yeah.
I got to give it to Bill Ward.
Okay.
I got to give it to Bill Ward. Me being a metalhead, everything that Black Sabbath has been able to lay that blueprint for, whether it's War Pigs, Symptoms of the Universe, the list just goes on and on. The way he was able to hold it back and keep it tight and heavy and dark on Black Sabbath. Yeah. And, I've seen him play twice, and both of them were Black Sabbath headlining Ozfest. And
nice.
Great shows, man. Great shows. And they really just, the guys just seem, they played in San Antonio both times I saw them, and it really looked like they were having a great time playing as a band. So from a fan's point of view, it was just like, oh, this is the best. It's like seeing them back in the day because they're having so much fun together. They're laughing and shit on stage. And the chops, I mean, you can't beat those chops that Bill Ward's got. And
totally.
Seeing the old film, the old school videos that they would have as we were growing up, being able to see the Black Sabbath videos with them ever playing outdoors, and him with the bandana and the long ass hair, just kicking ass, very inspirational. And too bad that things don't always work out, whether it's money and shit like that. The bands kind of go their different ways. So
but come on, those
fills. Black Sabbath again if they don't have Bill.
Oh man.
Yes.
Right? And the sound, the tone, just
speaking of, before I move on, I think I'm gonna get to yours, but I'm gonna throw in 3 honorable mentions.
Okay.
And they're not in the top 10, but they're just some of my favorite guys. And I gotta say, one of them is okay, the name is Mike Borden, right? Faith No More.
Of course. Yeah. They played with Ozzy and Faith No More and all that. Oh yeah.
So
come on,
got to give him some love, and also got to give Phil Rudd from AC/DC.
Absolutely.
Oh, the heart and soul, man. The way he held it down, he showed drummers like myself that you can't play that shit, because I thought, oh, listen to him. Look how he plays it slow. I can do this shit. Anybody can do that. Man, that's fucking hard. The way he holds it down on tracks like Back in Black, it's hard. You really got to be a good, experienced drummer to nail it like he does.
Absolutely, man. I agree.
Last but not least, Charlie Benante, who's out there for rest in peace for Vinnie Paul, holding it down for Pantera.
Yeah.
But you know, he did some great things for Anthrax really in the early years that were just almost, I think that, I don't know the timeline, Chris, but it almost feels like my heart tells me that what he did on Gun Ho in Spreading the Disease was right before Angel of Death came out. So he was already banging those 30 seconds.
They were in that, they were all in that thing. That was that, you know, Slayer and Metallica.
Pushing it, yes.
And
yes, man.
Bloodlust
yes,
in
that's
LA.
Right. Yeah, man.
I did a few gigs with Bloodlust, actually. Yeah.
Oh,
funny.
shit.
Yeah, years later. Yeah, those guys are great. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes my list. And Tacoma's, no, I didn't have Pete say number one is Pete Sandoval, World Downfall. Hey, I got a lot of love for Pete. What he's done for Morbid Angel and for Terrorizer are incredible. He's one of the best ones out there in death metal. And he just got tremendous chops. The way he pulls off his grind is unbelievable. But like I said, I got some old school, some classic rock, and of course I got some, you know, some Danny Carey on my list. But it's so hard to make these lists, man, because, you know, coming from a drummer's perspective, there's a lot of guys that just they bang it so fucking great. And it's hard to break it down to 10.
No, totally, man. I agree. I have 20, so I probably have like 100 though, to be true. Right? You know, to be honest, bro. It's like, well, but, you know, and I'll tell you the other thing that we should talk about for what it's worth is the Lars thing, and I'll tell you why. Lars, in my opinion, like I think the whole Lars thing of the Lars hate and all that, I do have a huge amount of respect for the guy because of what he was able to do with Metallica and kind of the sum of the parts of that band. They make something so incredible. But, you know, Lars came up in the era of, you know, extreme metal drumming started happening. And, you know, a lot of these guys were, you know, all of a sudden Lars is a multi-millionaire playing stadiums. And of course, like a guy who's a multi-millionaire is going to have interests outside of drumming. So while these other guys are like trying, you know, they got nothing to do. They're in their basement grinding out, you know, trying to play 200 beats a minute, you know, double bass. And it's like, so of course he wasn't as focused on the extreme metal drumming and the precision and all that. And it was like, you know, I'll never forget when I heard Fear Factory for the first time. I was just like, this isn't even human, you know, this is unbelievable. Know, right? and like such great guys, and Ray Herrera, just unbelievable, man, just groundbreaking stuff. Right. But what I'm getting at is that, you know, years later, you come to find out that, you know, all these people, oh, Lars sucks. And it was all that. But I still was like, oh, yeah. But I mean, he floats between time signatures with zero effort. He just floats in between all these things. And like, you listen to Blackened and you go, man, you know, if you're a decent drummer and you know that song so well, you could maybe keep up with it. But if you're trying to learn it just like from go, it's tough, man. That's like some big serious musicianship, you know. But again, I think the funniest part of that whole thing, like the jokes on everybody that was talking smack, because a lot of the extreme metal drumming that was going on at that time, that, you know, when people started talking all the smack, a lot of those drum parts were programmed and people, you know, didn't know. And so they're going, oh my God, this XYZ, this guy, you know, this band or that band, God, the drummer's so, you know, the precision, it's so perfect and all that. And it's like, they didn't realize it was actually a computer doing it, and that the guy would go play it live and would kind of pull it off. It was pretty good, you know, and all that, but it was not, you know, it wasn't a very fair representation. So I look at the Lars thing and I kind of give him some props and go, man, that guy's playing bigger gigs than any other drummer. And, you know, and he's, you know, he's still doing it and he's still great. And he has a blast doing it. And they, you know, those guys are, you know, just legends. So I just mad respect. That's all. Yeah. Mad respect for Lars. I feel bad for not having him on the list. Yeah. And no. Me, I love Lars. I never got tied up in the Napster stuff, any of that. Yeah. I figured, you know, I know where he's coming from.
because as a starving artist, we didn't make any money whatsoever. Whether it's making copies of CDs and selling them at the shows and shit like that. We were trying to hold on any penny we could. So I understood the business side of it. I knew the other side was was the fan side of it as well. Of course, we want to get anything we can for free, but things like this got to get regulated like anything else. It can't just go rampant, or else it just destroys the whole industry. So I understood it. I support Lars, and in the long run, who has the last laugh? Lars.
Well, and the other thing is, like, here's how cool those guys are, though. So some very, very good friends of mine have a Metallica tribute band called Damage Inc. in Southern California, and they're really, really good. I mean, like, unbelievable, man. These guys just absolutely rip. And Metallica has had Damage Inc. and a few of the other tribute bands that'll go out to wherever they're playing on tour, and they'll have like a takeover weekend. So, like, let's say Metallica plays Saturday night, they'll have the tribute bands play like Friday night at a local club, and all the Metallica fans get to go and like have a Metallica night with these awesome tribute bands. And Metallica's footing the bill for the whole thing. Like, they're taking care of these guys, and it's just a really cool thing that they do. They're fully supportive of it, and to that point, I've sat in with Damage Inc. and we played like All Nightmare Long. And again, the drum parts are ripping, man. Like, Lars, come on, man. So anyway, enough of that, but yeah, cool. Lots
too cool. I didn't hear about that, about them making that kind of thing happen, but it just adds to the list of great things that these guys have given back to their fans and to the world. They're very generous individuals, and I love that about them. They're big-hearted guys.
Yeah. Oh no, and the bass player in Damage Inc., my buddy Kevin Knight, was in line to get, like, they were doing a signing somewhere, and as he walked up, Lars looks over at Kirk and goes, "Hey Kirk, this is Kevin from Damage Inc." It's like, and it was like he knew him, he knew who he was, and I was like, wow, man, that was years ago, and it was just like,
that's like the greatest feeling,
man. They got their finger on the pulse. It's cool, man. Yeah. Good dudes.
Big time.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think, Chris? You ready to share your list?
Oh, yeah. All right. So again, I have like 20, and I'm not kidding, but I'll do 10, and then we can talk about the other ones, because I have so many just favorite drummers, man. But I'll do my number 10. I gotta give it to Jason Bittner, man. Shadows Fall.
Oh, great.
Just such a great drummer, and just good dude, and always I love the stuff that he does, and just the way he plays, and the guy's just has just really always been so consistent, and
love Shadows
stuff
Fall.
He did with Overkill and all that.
Overkill.
Man, just crush it. Number 9, Todd Sucherman from Styx. Gotta just I've seen Styx, I don't know, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And
badass.
A friend of mine tour manages with them, and so we had great seats one night. And watching him play is, he'll take a simple song, and then without, like, he's not overplaying, he's just doing very innovative things, like a beast, and it's just so good. He's just so dialed in, and it's amazing watching him work. The guy is just brilliant on the drums.
My favorite album from him is The Grand Illusion, and maybe it's just the moment that it was out. That's when I was a kid spending my summer at grandma's house. My aunt, who was going to high school, bought The Grand Illusion, and while she was going to school, I was too young to go to school. Maybe, I don't know, but I know she wasn't there, and I was all over her record collection. Yeah, and that Grand Illusion, hit after hit.
Oh man, that's you go see Styx, and it's just one hit song after another, man.
Yes,
just
great choice.
So good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, my number 8 is Matt Halpern from Periphery.
Yes,
same kind of thing. Beast on the drums, but again, time signatures just all over the place, and so tight and so flowing. That guy just has so much flow on the drums, man, and he's just. His tones are killer, and he's just unbelievable. And that band,
Incredible.
I've seen them live, and you know, God,
Yeah, I've seen them once with the
band.
Deftones, man. They're great.
Yeah,
Love
great
them.
live band. Yeah. Matt Garska from Animals as Leaders.
Oh yeah.
Just, you know, his stuff, he just continues to
Just keep
destroy.
raising that bar.
Yeah. And
Yes.
you know, during COVID, he was doing things where he was going, look, you know, I may not be able to go out and play on tour or do this or do that, but drumming is my job. I'm a professional musician. I'm going to practice 8 hours a day at least. That was his thing. And he was going
Oh,
and he was
hell yeah.
practicing 8 hours a day. And, you know, his playing just leveled up so much. And he was
Yes.
already unbelievable. And I saw them play his I think they played with the Contortionist, and which is so good. But anyway, he will take solo spots like in physical education. He'll have this section that he kind of goes off, and it's like the pulse is there, and he's just playing around the pulse, and he just absolutely just unbelievable drummer. Like,
Yeah.
wow, you know, and you're sitting there watching
exactly.
him going,
Wow.
where is the one? Like, you're trying to do this thing to stay on it, and it's just he is such a great drummer, man. Such a great
Yes.
drummer. Anyway. Hey Paul, how you doing, man? All right.
What
So
up,
my
Paul?
number 6. So I got Danny Carey, number 6. Yeah, I agree, man. The guy is just
Cool.
again, time
Any favorite
signature
track?
wise.
Standout track?
Yeah, just well, that whole I don't know, man.
What's
The
your
10,000
favorite
Days
album?
record was that whole record was just I still, with his independence,
Yeah.
is, and you watch videos of him where they'll do like a drum cam live in front of you know, an arena, and he's just like nothing else going on, man. He's just there playing drums, just working and crushing it. Just, yeah. Anyway, okay, number 5, Thomas Hawk, Meshuggah. Just, yeah.
Oh shit.
Same kind of thing. Like, I saw Meshuggah at a place called the Key Club in LA, which actually originally was Gazzari's years ago, but it was a great
Gazzari's turned into Key Club.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's closed now, or now it's like it's something else. But anyway, that place was like a 2-level venue that when they played, it looked like Thunderdome in that place. It was like on the sides, the balconies, and people are just going like this, the whole, the whole place. And it was like, there was just this, again, almost like when I'm talking about like Matt Garska, with just, there's a pulse happening, and Thomas Hawk is just playing around it. And it's just this, what he does with the kick drums, and it's so precise and just so, oh man. Anyway,
amazing.
My number 4 is Eric Moore. He's a like a funk drummer.
Eric Moore.
And the guy,
who's he jammed with? Because I know he's been around.
Like everybody. And
everybody, right?
Yeah, he goes out and does these gigs all over the world, and he's just he'll have his drum cam on, and he's just sitting there just holding it down, and all of a sudden they'll look back at him, and he'll sort of look at the camera and smile, and then roll some unbelievable chops that you're just like, this is inhuman.
I know, right? And he makes it look so easy. Yes, like it's nothing. He does. He's just chopping it up.
If you like do a YouTube or Google search Eric Moore Aquarian, you'll see this. He did a drum thing with the Reflector series Aquarian drum heads, because I endorse Aquarian drum heads, and he did a little playthrough thing, and it is absolute. When they came out with the Reflector series, they wanted him to be their guy, and he did this video that was just. It's so good. Like, again, he's just crushing the kit, man. And years ago, maybe, I don't know, I think it was maybe 5 years ago, I did a thing at one of the booths for NAMM at the NAMM show. and it was a cymbal company, and they wanted me to do something in their booth, like play through and have people watch whatever. And so I was like, well, NAMM has this rule where if you play too loud, either, any instrument, the NAMM police will come over, the noise police will come over,
Oh shit.
and they'll fine the company. Like if you make a bunch of noise, they'll fine the company. You have to pay for it, right? So I'm like, okay, look, I'm gonna do this thing where I'm gonna play on like the rims and like the hi-hats. I'm gonna make it really quiet, but it'll be like really precise and cool, and I'm going to do stuff on the bells and all that. And it'll be like this rhythmic, cool thing. Right. So I really worked on it. I was like all psyched. And right before I was going to go, all of a sudden I heard a bunch of noise. And at one of the drum booths right across the way, Eric Moore gets on a kit, absolutely destroys it. And it was so loud, and the crowd comes over and they're going nuts for him. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to get fined so hard for this. They didn't care, of course, because Eric Moore's in there just ripping their stuff up and killing it. Everybody was like, yeah. And then I got to go on after that. I was just like, so I'm on there doing my little thing, like, self-esteem. That was a good lesson in self-esteem. Anyway. And then, so my number 3 is, really for anything, just as when I was getting into playing more kind of metal and double bass, Chris Adler was absolutely my hero, because at that time, he was doing all the Lamb of God stuff. He was so, again, precise, and he played so well, and he was such a workhorse on the kit, and he clearly had the work ethic, and he just absolutely put in the time and was so good. And everything was, here's a guy, like, instead of doing sloppy thrashy stuff, which is awesome, of course, but like this guy was really playing the extreme metal stuff, but playing to a click and really, really laying it down, and everything was so clean the way he played, and just always a huge inspiration, man.
Huge. I still can't believe he's not with them. How do you leave your brother in the band? One of the biggest bands. I think they're going to be, you had Black Sabbath, you had Metallica. I think Lamb of God's going to be that next one. Easily I would have said Pantera if the brothers were still alive. But I think Lamb of God, even though they are extreme, I think they're still the next ones. I think Slipknot's in their own realm.
I agree.
Because you can't touch them. They're their own
that
thing.
Good.
They're their own Metallica.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like Lamb of God's going to be that next big one. And, with Metallica kind of taking them under their wing, maybe a tour or two back, man, they just really blew up. Yeah. Whoever opens for Metallica, oh man,
I know
you're gonna be huge.
Yeah, Paul says, I'm not a Lamb of God fan, but I agree. Dude's drumming is pretty freaking awesome. But I'm a guitarist. What do I know about drums? But yeah, no, man, it's like good is good, Paul. I totally agree, man. Well, and I'll tell you something about taking bands under their wing. One of my other favorite drummers, not on the list, I mean, he's on my sort of extended list, but Michael Miley from Rival Sons. Because Rival Sons got taken on the road by Black Sabbath. Ozzy saw them and said, this is my new favorite band. And like Jimmy Page was like, this is my new favorite band, and took Rival Sons. They were just a local Orange County band in California, took them on the road, and they just became, this huge, they totally blew up. And Michael Miley is, if you listen to Rival Sons, he's got that Bonham groove, man, where he just makes it sound so good. He's got It's All in the Hands. That's actually in my drum book. There's a section called It's All in the Hands, and that is what it is. Like, those guys can they make the kit sound so good. Which does bring me to number 2, John Bonham. Yep.
All right.
But and the reason that I have Bonham up there like that is that I think he was just such an influence on so many people. But if you watch the How the West Was Won DVD, or really nowadays the video is just on YouTube of Moby Dick when they played at Royal Albert Hall. I think it was like 1969, but he's playing that natural maple kit, and his drum solo was before he starts playing with his hands, before he throws his sticks away, but he's doing like double strokes and like 6-stroke roll stuff that is just so good. And I actually years ago I had been, I had been playing double bass and metal stuff and all that. I watched that video of him doing that, and I said, okay, I'm going to learn how to do that. And I sat down with a practice pad and sticks, and I'm like, and I actually got like heavy drumsticks so I could strengthen my wrists. And I was like, you know what, man, I'm not getting up until I learn how to do this. And I sat there for hours figuring out how to do like double strokes and then how to do the 6-stroke roll stuff. Yeah, man. It just, Paul, I agree. He was an entirely different level. Watching him do what he did was just, that video was the one for me. So again, Bonham inspired. So my number one is Neil Peart, because
Neil Peart, yes,
of that, that thing. I mean, doing those crazy, just everything, like you said, YYZ and all the roles and stuff, and just everything that he did. He was such a visionary, and he wrote all the lyrics and all of that, of course, which is amazing. But just Rush as a band really just pushed the envelope so much farther than, and still did it in a popular way. And it's like, I remember listening to Permanent Waves the first time, and I was just like, wow, wow. And then hearing Moving Pictures and all that, when they really, in my opinion, brought it all together and really became Rush, was just wow. But and in fact, man, it's really funny. So I endorsed DNA Drums, the drum company, and they just sent me a kit. I got a new set, and I'm putting it together in my studio, and I've got to get a new recording interface because I've got now more drums. But wait till you see my new kit. It's kind of Neil Peart inspired, where I've got the whole thing going on. So you're
I
gonna
can't wait. Dan, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, Neil Peart. I love I like that the live album with the show don't tell, the show of hands.
Yeah. Well, Exit Stage Left. Come on, dude. I mean,
I know. Yes, of
all
course.
The World's a Stage. Okay, so let's do some honorable mentions here. By the way,
great shit.
We got to give it to Will Calhoun from Living Color. Just such a great grooving band, and I had that band, that Ultraphonics band that with Corey Glover singing with George Lynch. And, I was telling Corey, like, I tried to not geek out when I was like hanging out with him in the studio. And I'm like,
right.
I got to do this for a minute, man. I'm like, I had the cassette tape of Vivid, and I wore it out to the point where I had to go actually buy the CD because the tape wouldn't even play anymore. I go, that's how much. And he goes, all right, cool. And I go, but Will Calhoun, man, like, just groove monster driving that band, and just cult of personality. Come on. And then, okay. So another is, I definitely got to give it to Derek Grant of Alkaline Trio as a punk drummer.
Oh, good one.
Such a great drummer. And now it's Adam Willard playing with them. But, and Adam Willard is a beast on the drums, unbelievable as well. But those guys just, so good and so fast and articulate on the drums. They really just speak that language on the kit. And then Josh Eppert from Coheed and Cambria is another just groove monster. Lefty, like me, plays left-handed, open-handed on a right-handed kit. Yeah, man, Josh Eppert is unbelievable.
Oh, that's a good one right there.
Yeah. Okay, what else? And I got a crazy one for you too. Who is it? There's a guy named Shane Gaulis, Gaalaas, Shane Gaulis from Canada, and he plays in a band, a band up there. Togue is the name of the band, and
what are they called?
Togue, Toque. Okay, and but Shane has played with everybody, but he used to teach at Musicians Institute in Hollywood, and he's buddies with one of my all-time also favorite drummers, Ray Luzier from Korn. But anyway,
badass.
And so Shane was the guy that really, really inspired me to play double bass. And he was playing in a band. He actually it's back doing it. Plays with a band in Japan called the Bees, and it's B''Z. They're the biggest band in Japan. Like they'll sell out Tokyo Dome 3 nights. And, nobody knows who he is in LA, and he's just a white dude in LA, kind of thing. But he's like the most unassuming. You'd never know it was him. And he's the greatest guy, beast on the drums. But he was playing in a band. This is what I was coming to. He was playing in a band called Diesel Machine. And if you look up Diesel Machine, that stuff is unbelievable, man. And Shane was just incredible. Double bass, precision, just badass, incredible.
Oh, hell
and
yeah.
the guitar player in that band was a guy named Pat Lockman. And Pat Lockman actually also played guitar for Halford.
Halford.
Early Halford
and then
stuff.
He started singing, right?
And then he started singing, and he sang with Damage Plan. He was the guy that on stage when Dime got shot. Yeah, that was Pat Lockman. But Diesel Machine was that band. And if you look up Diesel Machine, and my buddy Rich Gonzalez played bass in that band, and they were just absolutely so heavy and so good, and just such an incredible band. Yeah. And Shane,
definitely gonna
Shane's an amazing drummer. Yeah.
I'm gonna get some Diesel Machine going for sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Unreal. Yeah. That's
got
it,
some
man.
more.
Let's see what else. I got, Portnoy and Stuart Copeland, of course. I got those as well. Peter Criss, come on.
Yeah,
Peter Criss, Alex Van Halen, of course. And then Terry Bozzio back in the Missing Person days. Just such a Spring Session M. The drumming on that album is such just incredible work. And Terry Bozzio just crushed that record, man.
Crushed it, man.
Yeah.
Another guy I'm thinking about. What do you think about Gil Moore out of Canada with the vocals too?
Yeah.
How about Phil Collins? Vocals too.
Yeah, I mean, the most famous drum fill in history, and he's such a great drummer, man. Such good feel and groove, and bringing in the Phoenix horns from Earth, Wind and Fire and all that on his stuff. And,
that's one thing I like. Me and my wife we saw Phil Collins, I guess maybe about 5 years ago already, 4 or 5 years ago. But yeah, he had to sit throughout the whole show. Yeah. But his son is a fucking kick-ass drummer, plays for his band now. And amazing show, terrific horn section. Everything about it is just amazing. Love Phil.
So, Tony, check this out. When years ago, high school, I saw so my best friend's dad had like season tickets at the Forum in LA, and he would take his clients to like sporting events like Lakers games or whatever, but all the concerts he didn't want to go, so he'd give us the tickets. Well, anyway, so we had 4 tickets. So we'd always we had a group of guys we'd all go see. And I mean, I'm not kidding. I saw with that group, we saw like Scorpions, Queen, AC/DC, like both nights, all these just incredible, Def Leppard and all these, shows that you would have gone to, you would have bought tickets anyway, but they were like awesome load seats, right? Well, anyway, so then he's like, well, we're at school that day, and it was like, a Wednesday. It's like, oh, Genesis is playing, and it was on the Mama tour. Okay. And so we were kind of like, all right, well, we'll meet up and we'll go down there. And we were sort of like, whatever about it, because we weren't really fans at that time. It was just kind of like, yeah, whatever, let's go. Yeah. And we showed up and it was late, and I was like, oh no, we're all laughing like, oh no, we're going to be late, and well, we showed up and they were opening with Abacab, and we're walking in. I'm like, all right, I recognize this song, whatever.
Yeah.
One of the best concerts I've ever been to. They were so good. And Phil Collins got up, of course, played some drums, crushed it. He and Chester Thompson played. They did the dual drum solo thing, amazing. And Phil Collins was like stand-up comedian level, hilarious jokes on stage, and just it was the best concert, man. They were so good,
so badass. Oh, what a moment! Hell yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
good stuff.
Yeah, good music, man. Yeah.
What else you got? You got another one for me?
Let's see. What else do I have here on my list of lists? I mean, so the other one is I got to give it to Sheila E. Man, she
Oh, I'm
is
glad you
a
brought her up.
beast of a drummer, and she's
And
so
everybody she
fast,
played with. Shit.
yeah, and so clean, and she's, she's such a good drummer, man. Yeah,
Who did she? I think she was taught by Tito Puente. I think.
yeah, and her father does
Yes, her father
percussion,
played.
and
Yes.
he's also just incredible, man. Yeah,
I'm glad you brought her up.
yeah, man.
There's so many great girls that are out there banging it out that
Yep,
are underrated that just
yep.
haven't got the notoriety because in I guess to lack of a better phrase, um, somewhat of a man's world, but that's changing all the time. That's changing really quick when you got badasses like I'm trying to think
Annika Niles
Pretty
or Neelis.
Reckless.
Annika Neelis. Yeah, Annika
Yeah,
Neelis.
you start thinking
She's
about
Yeah, Annika Neelis is I think
Monica
she's
Nealis, yes.
from Germany, I'm pretty sure, but she's again incredible, just so good, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
and time signatures and so clean, and she can do fills in 5 that it's like the beat is turning over like a cartwheel on itself, and she's
yeah.
just rolling right through it like it's nothing, like she's eating a sandwich on the side. It's like it's so good. She's such a good drummer, man, and it's just effortless.
Yes.
She's fantastic. Yep.
Gotta send some love right there. Women are always kicking ass, and in some, in I think in just about every case, you can't outplay a girl, man. You
Well,
tell her, hey, there's nothing she can't do, man. Whether it's Neil Peart, whether it's Bill Ward, whether it's John Bonham, these girls can, you put them to the test and they'll outplay you.
yeah,
So
no, it's I tell you, it is so fun to watch good drummers and listen to good drummers, especially today and that's one of my things about we've talked about a little bit before is programming drums, where
yeah,
when I hear a track that has, obviously programmed drums, I just tune it out because I'm like, I don't really want to hear this. I want to hear a real drummer playing. And so, that is one of those things with like Swim
yeah,
the Current. I've talked to George about it because we've been, we work with different producers and do some stuff. And I'm like, please don't ever let the drums be programmed, man. Let me play them on the songs.
yeah,
I want to contribute. He's like, no, we're never going to do that. We're never going to do that because as a musician, you want to add something to the song. Like you have your thing and you go, oh, there's a thing I want to throw in right there. There's a little, lick or a fill or something.
yeah,
And you can't, no one's going to program that and go, oh yeah, that would sound good. Because to me, you feel it as you're playing. You're not
right.
like you're playing it and you hear it in your head or you feel it and you go, oh, that's a thing. And that's coming from like within, that's
Yep.
not a programmable event, And I just did a track. This is so funny. I just did a track, and maybe I'll send it to you sneaky wise.
Yeah.
I just did a
All
track
right.
yesterday. Okay. So kidding. It's a song called oh man, hang on. What's the name of the song? Oh, it's called What a Ride. What a Ride.
What a ride.
And
All right.
and so it's just the scratch track. Like it's just music. There's no vocals yet. Marcos hasn't done his vocals or anything, and it's just raw me playing to the track to like lay down the drums, right?
Yeah.
But so on Saturday, I went down to the studio and I was working on it a little bit, and I kind of got like the first section. I'm like, yeah, I'm happy with what I got. It's cool so far, and I'm going to jump back in and like I got to a stopping point. So I'm like, okay, there's a little break and then it goes into the next, verse or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to go finish it tomorrow. Saturday night, I could barely sleep. I was thinking about it. I'm going, man, I got to get back into the studio and get that track. And I was hearing all the things I wanted to do. So yesterday morning, I woke up and it was like 6 a.m. and I'm like wide awake going, I got to get to the studio, man. I got to record this track. And so I try to go back to sleep and I'm like, I can't go back to sleep. I got to go do this right now. So sure enough, I left at, 6:45. I get to the studio. Of course, nobody's there. It's my studio's down in Albany. And I went in and laid it down. And it took a couple hours and I got the track and I was like,
hell yeah,
so happy with it. It's like everything I want in the drum track. and I'm like so excited. And I sent it to the guys. I'm like, what do you think? And everybody's digging it, and they're all cool with it. And but yeah, I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you.
Me. I want to hear some of that magic.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like, sound quality wise, it's not mixed. It's like the drums are raw out of my studio, so it's like my little sort of mix on top of just a no drums, track. But I think you'll dig it, man. Hey,
Man.
also, Paul, it's there's no shame in using programmed drums. It's not that. It's like, hey, you know, good is good. You make music the way you do.
Yeah.
And so I'm not like me, because I'm a drummer. I'm like, I don't want to hear it without, real drummer. But I will tell you this: if something is good, it's going to be good. And if let's say you're a guitar player and your guitar playing rips, it's good. Doesn't have to be shred-o-matic, but if it's good, man, that's cool. It's if that's good stuff. I just I want to, as a drummer, I'm like, give me this thing, let me play on it.
That's right.
But,
hell
yeah, Tony, I'll send you this track so you can check it out. Okay, you can't send it to anybody though.
Well, you guys, you're a machine, so they don't ever need a programmed drummer. All you got to do is just say, do your job, and you just just take care of it, and it's gonna come out like a program set, but with the finesse and the love that you can't get from AI or programs or a program, drum machine.
Yeah.
And speaking of AI, AI has its way of getting into music now.
I know.
And I don't like the fact that it could kind of take away the artist, the feel to it. And so I'm on the side, and I always will be on the side of us doing live music. Yeah. I see the advantage of having AI. Everybody uses it for one way or another. But man, when it comes to music, you can't duplicate that feel, and you can't duplicate what you see when you see these guys do it on stage.
Yeah.
And no machine's ever going to be able to copycat that. And I hate the fact that AI is just kind of raw, just in everything. Stay out of music. Have everything else, just stay out of music.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. I actually did I recorded a drum track for an artist who is, you probably know their name, and but their writing was, they wrote the song, but the vocal track on this thing was actually an AI voice, and they kind of gave the thing and gave the track and said, here's the thing. So it wasn't that the AI was writing it, but it was just providing a voice. And I was like, oh, that's actually a great idea, so that the guy's not much of a singer. And so he was like, use that as, and so I'm going, if you're using that as a tool, and then you're actually going to have a real singer sing on it, if it's just for that part of it, the AI is not creating anything. It's just being used as a tool to help produce, so I could play drums on it and get the idea of the vocal track. So, cool there. Yeah. But I'm a big believer. Yeah. And I'm a believer in technology if you use it the right way, again, as a tool. And I'll tell you, here's a good one. Okay. Yeah. So years ago, I was playing in a metal band, and we played at the Whiskey, right? And we used to headline the Whiskey like every other month or something. Like Saturday night, we do our thing and go throw down and play a show at the Whiskey. But anyway, so they would film it, and the Whiskey would film it and give us a DVD after the show. And I'm watching the show, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on with my drum mix, man? Where's my kick drum? Because I had a double bass kit, and I'm like, where is my left bass drum? And I look, or maybe my right bass drum, but I looked, and the microphone had swung out of the bass drum. Like the microphone was in the hole. It was a B-52, and it swung out. And I was like, and I'm watching it on the DVD, and I'm like, you're not hearing the whole thing. Like, you're only getting half the kick drums. Come on, man. So anyway, what I did was, from then on, I went and got triggers, and I put triggers on my kick drums, and I had a brain. I had the module with me on stage behind me, and I said, just give me I said, I don't need kick drum mics. You don't even need to mic my kick drums. Just give me a DI box, and I'm going to plug this into it. So I plugged in direct, and it was so clean and it was even, because they said, well, do you want us to pan the kicks? And I said, no, I want mono, and I want both kick drums coming through the speakers. Because you know why, man? One time I saw Hatebreed at Ozfest, and I was on the left side, and the sound engineer had panned the kick drums one side each. So at the soundboard it sounded great, but I was up front on the left side, and it was like and it wasn't
how weird.
You couldn't hear the whole thing. It was off balance, right? So when I was at the Whiskey, I was like, no, just give me a mono mix, kick drums. And then it was like my kicks sounded so good after that. Everything was super clean, and it wasn't like I was using triggers to do anything fake. I was still playing the drums like like they were mic'd, but it was just a way to use the technology to get a cleaner, more even sound.
I do love triggers. For some drummers, it's tricky to get comfortable with them and to be in control. But man, they're awesome. They're awesome. But it still takes the drummer to make it happen. So it's just a tool. And like Paul was saying, he's got a drum machine to help him do his stuff. A lot of times, just like you, Chris, you're always staying busy. You're always over practicing. You got a lot of these guys out here that are just writing music every day. Getting out of work, writing, and you can't wait for a drummer. You can't wait for a singer. You need to
gotta
write
do your
it yourself,
thing, man.
And those are the kind of guys that make shit happen.
That's right.
They're ready for the next level.
Yeah,
and it just shows not only their intellect, their love, but the ambition and the determination to get it out there.
Yeah, man.
So Paul, whatever you got to do, make it work.
That's right, Paul. We're stoked for you, man. We can't wait to hear it.
I know, that's right.
Yeah,
make
check
it work,
out, dude.
Paul. Share it with us.
Yeah.
And James, Dave Lombardo will always be number one.
Absolutely,
I
Dave.
feel you,
Yeah, James. Right on, man. All right, Tony, I'm going to send this track to you, and I'm going to go to bed.
I got you,
tomorrow,
Chris.
I've got to do another drum track.
You're always busy, brother. I've had so much fun tonight, Chris.
Me too, man. Thank you.
I've been wanting to do a one-on-one with you.
Yeah, me too, man.
I didn't think it was going to be like this, but I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, I just sent you that track. Give it a listen. Let me know what you think, all right?
You got it. Chris, thanks a lot for being with me on the show tonight.
Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, love the stories.
Yeah,
and
me too.
It's just an honor to know you.
Thank you so much, man. Chris. Right on, buddy.
All
right.
See you soon. Talk to you later. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning into the show tonight. I'm not done with you yet. So if you got a list, send it to me. I will read it out loud. But right now, I want to share Dave Lombardo. Back up. I was reading Dave Lombardo, but what I meant to say was Dave Lozano's from Devastation. His top 10 list is coming up right now. Let me get a drink of water. Excuse me. My voice sounds terrible. I literally did 3 hours on Saturday with Fistful of Metal, an hour with War Cult, and then another hour with the Christmas band last night. And I love it. But work with me. Here comes the list. Okay. Coming in at number 10 on Dave Lozano list. Number 10, Pete Weber from Havoc and Fear Factory. Hell yeah, Fear Factory. Love me some Fear Factory. Shout out to Dino. Love you, Dino. Got to get you on the show. Number 9, Trey Williams. Trey Williams from Dying Fetus. Love it. Love it, Dave. I got to tell you, in my band's integrity, I think it was around the Play Through Violence era for us. That would have been maybe 96, 97, 98. We opened for Dying Fetus here in Corpus Christi, right? And it was actually a titty bar at the time. I think it was called, I want to say Bosom Brothers, but that doesn't make any sense. I don't know where the name came from, but it was a bar. Dying Fetus was booked there. We were the opening support act, and I even think Grotesque Formation was there. Shout out Grotesque Formation. Hell yeah. George Elizondo. Love you, brother. So yeah, I jammed with Dying Fetus. Number 8, David Haley from Psychroptic. Oh, Psychroptic is sick. Sick. They're fucking off the chains. That's a great one right there, Dave. Thank you. Psychroptic, Dave Haley, number 8. Now coming in number 7, Misery Indexes, Adam Jarvis. Now Misery Index, that's one heavy fucking band. Brutal as fuck. Adam Jarvis, killing it back there on the kit. Great one right there. Hell yes. Yes, Paul, that's right. Raymond Herrera, Fear Factory, all day, demanufacture. You can keep that shit on continuous play, especially if it's the Digipack bonus version with the additional tracks of them doing Agnostic Front. And they did like 2 covers on that one. Agnostic Front was one of them. And I want to say it was Victim in Pain and one other one. If you know it, put it in there in the chat, would you, Paul? Demanufacture, bonus cuts. All right, next one, number 6 on Dave Lozano's top 10 best drummers list. George Callias from Nile. Fucking Nile. I can't say enough great things about Nile. Nile just, they are super fucking extreme death metal and just the masters of their craft. Been doing it for a long time. Nobody could do it better than Nile. Yes, your mistake. That's right. It's your mistake. Oh, it's fucking heavy. I love that version because it's so clean. Raymond, Dino, Christian vocals. Oh, love it. You know they're big time fans of that Agnostic Front, New York hardcore scene. And not off the top of my head, Paul, it's been a while since I heard that album. But thank you, James. You came in for the kill. Okay, next one. Number 5. Oh, yes. Giving love to the one and only Eric Moriarty from Suffocation. Eric Moriarty from Suffocation. Man, Eric, that's one big guy, too. And he's fucking crushing it on the kit. Suffocation is fucking one of those bands that is alive and fucking doing very well. They're always on tour. They got new music coming out all the time. Eric and the guys have just been killing it and got much love for Suffocation. And I love that they always make time for Corpus Christi. Thanks for always coming and giving Corpus Christi some love. Hell yeah. And it's always great that you got Dave on the crew. Let's see. I think it might have. Oh, let's see. I think it might have had another Head of David cover, actually. Yeah, I think it did have 2 covers on there, James. Check it out. But yes, thank you, Paul. Eric does kick ass. Absolutely. All right, number 4. One of my favorites. Hell yeah. I know he wasn't on my list, but he's definitely one of my favorites. The great Igor Cavalera. Igor Cavalera. Hell yeah. From Cavalera with his brother. You know, bringing back the old school. Bringing back the old school live. Sepultura. Bestial Invasion, Schizophrenia, bringing that back to life on tour. That's the shit. Thank you, Igor and Max. And gotta give a shout out since I said Max. Shout out to Soulfly, the whole Soulfly tribe. Mike DeLeon, hell yeah, brother. My man in San Antonio, Flesh Hoarder, one of the best right there, man. Love Flesh Hoarder, death metal. Love all you brothers, man. Kick ass. So yes. Igor Cavalera coming in a big 4 on Dave's list from Sepultura, Cavalier Conspiracy, and Cavalera. Coming in number 3, Derek Roddy from Hate Eternal. What can you say about Hate Eternal that doesn't fucking make them one of the most extreme, tightest, fucking sickest bands out there? Goddamn, you got to help me. The fucking Shredder Extreme from Hate Eternal. You got to help me. Producer also plays with Cannibal Corpse. The name's on the top of my tongue. Help me out here there. Help me out. Hate Eternal guitarist also plays with Cannibal Corpse. Help me in the chat room. Eric Rutan. That's it. Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much. Eric Rutan. Super classic guy. Super fucking guitar player, great producer, and just a super fucking metal ambassador because he's one of those great guys that's just out there making metal look good, making it look great. And let's see, gotta have a great drummer with Rutan. That's right. You gotta have it right. Thank you, James. So we're coming into the big number 2. And thank you, Dave, for bringing all this love for whether it's deathcore, death metal, and just the sickest fucking drums from the most extreme death metal bands that are out there. Like I said, Suffocation, Nile, Misery Index, Psychroptic, Dying Fetus, Fear Factory, Love for Havoc. Thanks for giving them love, Dave. But we're bringing in the top 2. And let's see, Rutan prides himself with his drumming production. You know it. That's right, James. Great production. Great production right there, Eric. I'd love to get him on the show. I heard his interview with Jamie Josta on the Josta show, and Eric's fucking fantastic. Super cool guy. Love to get him on my show too. So the top 2, Dave Lozano of Devastation. And we grew up together, man. Me and Dave went to school. We graduated from Carroll High School together. We spent our whole high school years together. And I love Dave so much. He worked so fucking hard to get everything perfect for Idolatry, writing everything here at his house with the guys at rehearsal. Everything fucking mattered. And Dave made every fucking note count. And our man over there at Maury Sound Studio, you got to help me out. Who's dropping all the tracks at Maury Sound? Who did all the classic production at Maury Sound? Help me out, Paul. But while I'm waiting for Paul's answer right there, got the name's on the tip of my tongue. Dave went out there, recorded with him, and Scott Burns. That's right. And I'm going to get that Scott Burns book. I know that book is good. Scott Burns got his own book, autobiography about recording all the best fucking Florida death metal bands. Deicide, Cannibal Corpse, Cynic, shit. All of them, man. All of them. Too many to name. And so I don't want to leave any badass names off. But get that book, Scott Burns. I'm going to get mine and want to enjoy it. Okay, top 2. From Iron Maiden, Clive Burr. Hell yeah, Clive Burr, Number the Beast, Killers, Iron Maiden, Made in Japan. Got all the good shit that made guys like me, Iron Maiden, my favorite band. In my neighborhood, my other friends, Mark McCrory, love you, Mark, and Phil Gonzalez, love you, Phil. They were Judas Priest fans to the death, and I was an Iron Maiden fan to the death. So, hey, these guys clobbered me. They clobbered me all the time, man, when it came to who ruled between Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. But we always loved both bands. But Priest, I think, maybe got more airplay whenever we were together. But Iron Maiden loved me fucking Clive Burr. Everything he did on those videos for Run to the Hills and for Number the Beast on those old school videos that we would see at Headbangers Ball were the best. They were the best, man. I love all that good stuff. But coming in at number 1, let me drink some water for this one, is Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden, of course. You know, me growing up with Dave, we loved Iron Maiden. He had the Iron Maiden posters up on his wall, the wall posters. You know what I'm talking about. And, man, we jammed to Maiden all the time. Back then, we always had like Somewhere in Time or Killers in rotation. Every so often, we'd be putting some Number the Beast. Of course, you're not going to hold back, but really like that Somewhere in Time, Killers. Iron Maiden was always on rotation as well. But you know, I gotta stick with Dave that these two guys that were kicking ass with Iron Maiden, Clive Burr and Nico McBrain were. They were so fucking unique and really inspired so many of us, bringing that new wave of British metal to the States. You know, always hear about the show happening here. Scorpions, I think it was Scorpions on Blackout, then Iron Maiden on Number the Beast tour, and Girl School opened up. Legendary show. Always hear that was one of the best. I don't think I was old enough. Maybe I wasn't. You're always old enough to go to a show. I just didn't have permission to go. But man, I heard about it from my friends who had older brothers that would go. One of my friends, Craig, his older brother, would never miss a show. So we'd always hear about Triumph, hear about Ozzy, hear about this show, Scorpions, and how fucking great it was. So, yeah, so Paul's telling me Nico does such badass work with only one single kick. I'm telling you, he does. Absolutely. And wow, not bad, not bad. Nico's talent cannot be understated or forgotten. Well-deserved #1. Thank you, James. So, that takes care of our list. That was Dave Lozano. And Dave, I miss you, brother. And Miggy, I miss you too. Much love to Miggy Sanchez, Angel Sanchez. That's right. And, Miggy, name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, amen. Please bless Miggy. Get his car up on the road. I know he has some car trouble right now. Wasn't able to make it on the show. But I talked to Miggy earlier today. He was looking forward to it. I love Miggy. I've seen him so many times here in town. He's just one of the greatest voices that I've heard in a long, long time. And to be able to call him a friend is an honor. And so I want to get you back on here, Miggy. All right. Maybe we'll do a 10 best vocalist. All right. I'll get you back on for that one. All right, brother. But thank you so much to everybody joining me. We're getting ready to hit 2 hours here tonight. So I'm going to get ready to let you guys go. It's been a pleasure having you guys joining me. Paul, James here in the studio. Please tune in next. I'm planning on next week. I've got Votan Classic. Votan. I'm going to take that back. Black metal at its fucking finest is what Votan is. I just played with them Saturday before last at Dillo Fest, and Bobby and Albert and the guys are just fucking killing it. Fucking killing it. So we're going to have them on here. Votan's going to be on the Tony Gomez Show podcast next Wednesday. We're going to have them on. If I have a guest, maybe join me Monday. You'll be the first to know. I'll put it out there. But I'm also trying to get Jerry Moore from Sweet Daddy. Rest in peace, Chris. I love you, Chris. Rest in peace, Chris. But I want to get Jerry Moore on the show and possibly get Nathan on here as well from Sweet Daddy so we can talk about more local metal music and everything that these guys have gone through the scene with. So once again, thanks a lot, Paul. Thanks, James. Hope to see you next time. Subscribe to the show. And Chris, thanks so much for being here for me tonight. Love you, brother. Best of wishes to Swim the Current. All you guys, George, Joe, Dan, and Marcus, of course, Swim the Current. Love you guys. Keep up the great work. Dave, got to get you back on that foot. I know your ankle's killing you, brother. I know it. But you're going to be on the road soon with Suffocation. When you're seeing Suffocation, look for Dave in the back. He's the drum tech for Eric. Say what's up. Dave, I love you, brother. Hope you get well soon. Miggy, hope to talk to you soon. Chris, once more, thank you so much, brother. And to all you guys out there, thanks for tuning into the Tony Gomez Show tonight. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll see you at the next show. Good night.